my Dominican people, I think I have you guys waiting long enough. It is like what? Let me just make sure of that time. 11 minutes past 8 o'clock. I put a note out there on social media tonight about 7:30 and said that I would be live tonight about 8 o'clock. The primary reason being, Dominicans, that there are some things on my mind that I really wanted to share with you tonight, because Saturdays, when I normally do these engagements with you guys, in my mind, as somebody practicing media, I thought to myself that Saturday coming will be much too late, because news supposed to be new. And there are some new things that I would want to say to us tonight. And as I said, Saturday would be a little too late. So hence my appearance here tonight. I'm not a usual Monday night vlogger, but it is what it is. When duty calls, then I always respond. And so, Dominicans, thank you for being here with me tonight. It's always a pleasure. I will try to keep it very, very brief. But you know me, how I roll, as it were. I like to explain things to people so that you guys understand to the best of your ability, in that you may hear something and may not fully understand it. And it is in engagements like this that we always have these one-on-ones, and you understand better what is going on, especially as it pertains to country. All right. So the pretty close to 200 folks of you already here. Thank you very much. And it's just a matter of me coming and telling you some things tonight as it pertains to, especially our brother Arthur Martin and his wife Faye Martin up at the Exotica area. Some things that transpired over the weekend, namely Sunday. And I just thought I would bring you some more clarity on the matter as I got it from the grapevine, as it were, or closest to the grapevine, as it were, knowing fully well that I always fact check things before I bring them in the public domain. So I always say you can take these utterances of mine as a promissory note, and you can take it to the bank, and yes, you will receive cash, as it will, figuratively speaking. But Dominicans, our country is at a crossroad, and it has been there for some time. And tonight I will be comparing the type of law apparatus that we have in Dominica, namely the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force. And if you know me very well, people, I don't mix my words when it comes to my country. And I'm going to compare them tonight, at least some, not all. I'm not painting everybody with a broad brush as members of the police force in Dominica. But I'm going to compare them tonight as none other than a force, a secret police force that existed in the 40s under the reign of Adolf, some of you say Adolf, Hitler, when he reigned terror over his people in Germany through his Nazi regime. And I am specifically talking about the Gestapo, as they were known then. This secret police that was hired by the man himself to instill fear, to cause terror to reign, to basically have everything and everybody under their subjection with their unrestrained use or abuse of power. And coupled with that, the level of impunity that went with it as it pertains to they executing whatever they had to execute on the orders of the man himself. And so, Dominica, I don't like painting my country in any negative light, but I must say as it is. And our Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, they are slowly but surely turning into something like the Gestapo of Adolf Hitler in the 40s and 50s going down to the 60s. And so we well remember the trial of a number of these Gestapo officers in the 40s as well, after this World War, and how they were hunted down and they had to pay for their crimes against humanity. And so tonight's discussion, tonight's expose, it is for an exhortation. It is for a rebuking. It is for a warning of our men and women here who are supposed to be serving us in Dominica as part of the law enforcement or law apparatus in Dominica. So Mr. Adolf Hitler is long gone. I was in Germany. We have presently today still reigning terror in Russia, Mr. Vladimir Putin. And we know our country, Dominica, its connection with Russia. We know that. But I'm not going there tonight. But I'm just drawing the parallel as to the type of law enforcement that is exhibited over there in Russia as we speak, in terms of anything and anyone, any organization, anything that resembles opposition to the Kremlin, they are crushed. It is crushed. Brutally crushed, that is. And that is what we are seeing in Dominica today, showing up its ugly head. And so Dominicans, it is always said to be forewarned is to be forearmed. And you cannot say you have not been forewarned, so therefore you should arm yourself in terms of doing what you have to do to protect and preserve your country from the reign of terror that is happening all now and will intensify in the future as things get hotter in this place. And so brace yourself, Dominicans. The road ahead is very, very rough. I can tell you that. And that is why I chose to topic tonight's conversation, discerning the life and times in Dominica. And that is the Commonwealth of Dominica. For those of you abroad listening and may have this mix-up. It is this little rock in the Caribbean region where I am saying, based on what I am seeing and the Dominican public we are feeling, it is this Gestapo-like regime that clothe and cloak themselves as members of the police force in Dominica. And I can say it no easier, I can say it no better. Because time after time after time, we are seeing how the police in Dominica, some of them that is, take our human rights in Dominica and trample on it as if, well, we don't have rights. And if they say, let me give Mr. what's his name, Tyrone Anthony, credit or kudos for what I'm going to say now, because that is a phrase constantly on his tongue. And if they say coming shadows, coming events, sorry, cast their shadows, that is one thing. But if the event is already upon us like we are witnessing now, and we are preoccupied, busy, looking for the shadows of these coming events, then we are much too late. And that is where we are, people. And so the Gestapo type of officers that we have in the police force today, posing or passing as police officers, usually always come to people's home to harass them in the wee hours of the morning. And that was one of the hallmark, that was one of the characteristics of the real Gestapos then. And that is what we are seeing in Dominica today. Time will not permit me to go into every detail as to when these guys show up at people's home, when people are unattended and they're basically trying to get up from their sleep. That is how they operate. And the latest being Athi Martin, a man in Dominica who continued to work for and on behalf of his country. A man who worked on behalf of his country already, and now he's in his twilight years, still have breath, and decide to speak truth to power. He's the latest victim of the harassment by the Gestapos of Dominica, posing as police officers. In addition, his wife. And so my heart, yes, goes out to the latest victims of the Gestapos at this time. The Gestapos, for some of you who have not heard, the same Gestapos that I spoke of, here where I am tonight, they came here already in terms of the harassment of me speaking my mind as a Dominican. So I'm not saying something that I have not experienced or gone through. The wrath of the Gestapos in Dominica. I am talking from a position of fact and experience. They say who feels it knows it. And there are countless other people in Dominica that have been and are still going through the harassment of these Gestapo-like officers in what we call the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force. Not the Commonwealth of Dominica Military Force. It is the police force. Or it's supposed to be the police force. But of late, we are seeing things changing before our very eyes. Dominicans, if you guys choose to cast a blind eye or turn away from your reality, I am not. And I will not. I choose not. As a patriotic Dominican of my land, as a nationalist of my land, I will always speak truth to power in spite of. And as I said, whoever don't like it, then that is for you. And so whatever you choose to do, that is left to you. But the God-given voice that is within me and the conscience that is placed there, I will not stand by and see my country going down a very turbulent road and play like a Saul with my two eyes on one side. No way. And that is why I choose to speak each and every time. And I would not sleep good tonight if I did not come and basically exhale, as it were. Because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so it is Athi Mate's turn today and his wife. It was other people's turn then. Tomorrow, it may be yours. Under the Gestapo-like regime, that is passing for the police force, directed by the political directorate of this blessed land. Dominicans, friends, and foes alike, because I know you guys are there as well. It was about 6:30 Sunday morning. The Martyrs woke up with this usual, arrival of the Gestapos. Inquired what they came for, who they came for, what they're looking for, what is the purpose. The arrogance started. As a result of their claim, and that's a claim, as ludicrous as it may sound, that is their claim. They claimed that the people, the foreigners, the Americans who were residing at Afi's place, when they came in on Friday on their private planes and docked these planes at the Canefield Airport, gone through immigration, declared what they have, said where they were going to stay and everything. So everything was cleared then. And they were released to go. Only to find out that the Gestapos, I call them, some of them, they were seen in the very same vehicle, that same old gray bus, something 752 or whatever it is, were roaming that place in the Girodel area a number of times before they finally couldn't take it again and said, let us move in. And so it was not just a situation where what they claim or what they claimed to have been investigating, that wasn't the case. They were seen, at least the bus that they were traveling in was seen a number of times patrolling in that area before that Sunday morning. The people came in Friday gone. Cleared immigration, there was no query, basically stated where they were staying, and they came into the country to have the vacation and help us in Dominica in terms of the tourism product. And based on what I'm getting, these persons were not Joe Blues, as we see in Dominica. They were high, reputable people who chose to come to Dominica to help us in this country through a very struggling and stagnated economy that we have here. And so they came to help us, at least Arthi, the Martins, and whoever, the cleaners, the people who cook, the people who wine and dine there. They came to help economically. Now, hear the claim, people. Hear the claim. The claim by the Gestapos said that when these people cleared immigration at Canefield, their passports were not stamped and signed by the immigration or an immigration officer. I'm going to drink some water because I need that to sink in. Take a little 15 seconds for that to sink in. As nonsensical as it sounds, that was their claim. That was their claim. Again, their claim was they are investigating a matter as to how and why these people's passports were not stamped and signed by an immigration officer. That is what they claimed they were investigating. And in the process of that investigation, spoke to one man in primarily, and then after they rounded up the crew of 7, detained these people, because once you're in police custody, you are not free to go. Your liberty, your freedom is taken away from you. And so these people were in police custody for 7 hours counting, from 6:29, round it up at 6:30 in the morning. And so if you have a claim, you are investigating, 7 people came to your country, Americans at that, and their passports were not signed and stamped as they enter in the country. People here with me tonight, who is to blame for that? And that is why I just could not fathom that situation, and it was bothering me for the entire day. And if I went to sleep tonight, and God forbid I passed in my sleep, I wanted you to hear that, because that could have, I just couldn't go and sleep with that in my chest. If you are saying your immigration did a boo-boo like that, you first have to go to your immigration officer or officers and get an explanation from there. And as protocol would have it in terms of work ethics, some head or heads should roll from there. How could you guys allow 7 people in the country and not stamp and sign their documents? And so is on that very deceptive claim that some of the members of the Gestapo force in Dominica chose to woke up these people, harass these people, brought them into a sort of detained position or situation for 7 hours plus. And some Dominicans, when I posted what I posted yesterday, some Dominicans still have the unmitigated gall, the audacity, the lameness of mental faculties to come and write under my post, oh, if there is a problem, everybody needs to be investigated. What utter rubbish. So there are some people, to tell you, Blenjoff, when I post my stuff and they come under it and, talk their gibberish, I don't waste my time and respond, because I have better things to do. So those of you who are not cool with what is going on, those of you who are not in tune with what is going on in your country as it pertains to the brutality of what we are going through, get up to speed. I know some of you, because of your political blinders that you have on, then everything and anything, it takes a political connotation. I understand that. So it's on that premise I even choose sometimes to go down that road with you guys, because I know exactly where you guys are coming out. But it will be you in one situation like that, someday or the other. So if there was a query, if there was reason or rationales why this person should not be admitted in the country, that should have happened right on the desk or in a room or at the Kenfield airport where these people came through. Because there must be a form that you must fill out, whether online or in print, or we have it in Dominica in hard copy. There must be a form. So if you as an immigration officer have any query or any, questions as to what are the 7 Americans all of a sudden descending in Dominica coming to do, that is your job. You question them, whatever it is from there. If after your interrogation you find, something, it cannot cut based on what they say, then you tell these people, we are not admitting you in the country. You have to leave. But to have these people enter your country, give them that false sense of security that all is well and all will be well. And when they are spending their money, enjoying nature at its best, with Faye and Afi being excellent hosts, and other people as well involved in the procedure, involved in the process of having them entertain themselves. You guys are spying on them like the Gestapos. I have to call that out, people. And the world must know what is happening in Dominica. Dominica is not a bubble. We are not living in a little private bubble. And so everything that happens here cannot and should not stay here. The world have to know what is happening in this land called Commonwealth of Dominica. They have to. And with the advent of social media, it is at the click of a button. So when it is good, I say it is good. When it is negative, I say it is negative. When it is rough, I say it is rough. That's it. And so these people, after they went through that level of harassment by the Gestapos, then they had no choice. They felt threatened for their life. And so they had to make arrangement to be out of this place on the first flight that was available out of this country. And so imagine now the kind of psychological and emotional impact that that situation had on these people. Well, some of us, we are going through it every day. So we are now coming immune to that kind of a treatment. But these people, they are new kids on the block. They are fresh kids on the block to that kind of treatment. And so imagine the ruffling of their feathers they may have gone through in terms of an experience. And so they chose not to spend a next day in Dominica. They left this morning, first flight out. And I can tell you, people, these 7 Americans, they are not going to take it lying down. And so as a number of persons have said already, and I concur, I think this time around, the regime, guided by the Gestapos, guided by the regime, the rogue regime, they have played their cards a little too hard this time. They have played their cards a little too hard this time. And so I can tell you straight up, based on confirmed reports, these people representatives in Bridgetown, they were briefed on the matter. Comprehensive explanation was given, and so they are looking into that matter very, very seriously. Where's my telephone? Right here. Let me tell you, people, the 7 people The 7 people, the 7 Americans who came into Dominica on Friday. Their names are Brian Lloyd. You guys can look it up. Don't take my word. Look up these guys. They are all professionals in their own rights. And so they are all on social media. And you will see the type and caliber of persons that were harassed, intimidated by the Gestapos of Dominica. Yeah? Brian Lloyd. You have Mr. Faye, his surname spelled MC, like Mac, Cullowugh. That is Mac Collow. Yeah, Faye Macalow. All right. We have number 3, Jeffrey Carpenter. And Jeffrey Carpenter, in my mind and in a lot of Dominicans' mind, he stands out. In that this brother is a sitting judge at the appeals level in North Carolina. Go look him up, Mr. Jeffrey Carpenter. His name is just Jeff Carpenter. Hear his utterances. See his words. And so when the Gestapo type of police officers in Dominica can detain a sitting appeals judge in America for 7 hours, you know the subjects in Dominica are like peanuts, are like corn before fowls. So Dominicans, you better watch it. Yeah? That is why I said, this is not going to go down very nice. So imagine the write-up, imagine the pushback, imagine the consequences that will come Dominica's way as a result. And I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. 4th on the list, Mr. Hugh Carpenter. Number 5, Brother James Bushnell. 6, Amber Bushnell. And 7, Jeremy Bushnell. So the question now to the Gestapos of Dominica, what is it that these 7 people who came to Dominica to enjoy their stay in Dominica, what is it that you guys were harassing these people for? And that lame duck excuse about their passports were not signed and stamped, it cannot cut it. And I am prepared to say, just like the Gestapos used to work back then, that maybe could have been a ploy that you guys adopted or concocted to harass these people. I'm putting nothing past you guys. That most likely could have been a ploy and a plot not to sign the passports, not to stamp their passports, so you guys will have a little leverage to do what you guys are accustomed of doing. But one day, you guys will have your day. And those who are pushing you to do this foolishness, those who are pushing you to insult people, to intimidate people, to trample on people's rights, human rights at that, you guys will pay. There's no two ways about it. And so just like the Nuremberg trial was held in the 40s, and it clamped down and jailed these Gestapo members, some of them. Some of them are still on the run today, but they are hunting them down. You guys, some of it may be too late already. But those of you who are still on the verge, you have a little time. This thing is very upsetting. It's very upsetting for people to come in a country and they are being harassed on lame duck claim or claims. You guys, if your claim was true, you guys should have gotten your immigration officer with their stamp and their pen and go up to Exotica and knock on these people door at least 10 o'clock in the morning, not 6:30 in the morning, and say, guys, I am very sorry. We are part of the immigration office, police, blah, 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 whatever it is. We are sorry, a mishap happened. Unfortunately, you guys' passports were not stamped and signed, and so we came here. We came to you. To get whatever it is rectified. And all would be well. But you cannot tell me your officers as you claim. And some of these lame duck officers themselves, I ain't putting nothing past them too. Some of them. So if you guys knew it was a plot, you guys need to stand for country and say it was a plot. Say it was a plot. The reprisal will be great, but at least you speak your mind and you let the people know, you let the world know what is up. Because this thing just cannot jive for a plausible or responsible action taken by a police force. It just cannot cut it. No way you dice it and slice it, it just cannot mesh. Where in the world that thing happened? Where? Where in the world would that happen? Other than this little whatever it is. And Dominicans, we're in a rough path. Very rough path. So as I was saying before, imagine the mental stress that these people would have gone through. You came to Dominica, everywhere in the world you could go and spend your money. You chose here. And you come to spend your money, and that is the kind of treatment you're getting. Man, these people need to peace on this country. I can tell you. I am part of it, but it is what it is. They need to peace on this Gestapo force. And trust me, I personally, it's like, I cannot tell the Americans what to do, but to me, something needs to be done, my friend. The same measures you guys are taking against ISIS and Hamas and Hezbollah and King Jong-un, and you guys need to take some action against the Gestapo-like people in Dominica and the regime. And I'm saying that with no reservation. These guys are crossing the line now, and they need to know when to stop. And stop the mass. A sitting judge, a man of impeccable character. That thing is just blowing my mind, people. But it should not blow my mind that much, people. Coming to think about it. Because I have had an experience myself. And that is why sometimes when I speak, I really go deep. I don't speak about things I don't know about. I don't dabble in things that I don't know about. If I don't know, I seek the necessary information from the professionals or from whoever is expert in their field. But when I speak my guts. I speak from experience, people. So what happened to these people there on Sunday by Afi? And what is going on with other people in terms of Americans being citizens of citizenship? It is no surprise. You know a man, and that implies a woman as well. You know who they are by the company or companies that they keep. And so if we know our government in Dominica very well, anything and everything that has to do with America, there is a sort of hands-off approach. And that is a fact. Anything to do with China, the Republic of China, anything that has to do with Venezuela, anything that has to do with North Korea, anything that has to do with Russia, anything that has to do with the governments around the globe that is repressive, that is oppressive, and will trample on human rights. That is where the elements of our government tend to line up with. Your prime minister today, or what passes for prime minister, I heard he has a delegation of 20 people, plus his wife, in China as we speak, getting red carpet treatment. And so what I'm telling you, the proof is in eating of the pudding. I'm not making up anything. That is the government's friends. From timely memorial, that is its friends. And so it is no rocket science situation. It is not scientific at all that it will have its Gestapo force line up in such a way like these other countries have their officers brutalize people, trample people's rights in more ways than one. And the immunity, most of the times, that goes with that. So these guys feel emboldened. That is happening in Russia. It is happening in King Jong-un country. It is happening all over the globe that we have diplomatic relations with. Don't talk about China. Don't talk about China. Show me your friends, I'll show you who you are. And I can tell you from the grapevine that there are a number of initiatives. And that is people who working in the ministry and other areas. This information is coming from. So go and hunt them down now and ask them where Lofty get that information. Go and hunt them down and fire everybody in the ministry now. There are a number of people in the ministerial positions that says, Lofty, you know something? The Americans wanted to do this, but no response. The Americans wanted to do that, but no response. Or a very tardy response. The latest, our Coast Guard base, that was repaired fully by the Americans. Did you guys heard any big hue and cry about the Americans helping us to build back our base after the destruction of Maria? Nothing like that. But that is their stamp of approval right there. They help restore that base with a wharf and everything. You remember that little wooden cushion we had there? Looking like a drug dealer's exit and entrance. But you did not hear that. That did not make news. But if it was China or King Jong-un or someone like Vladimir Putin or others that had came in to do that, then maybe a plaque depicting their work would have been installed or erected around the vicinity of that wharf. And so I am saying, based on what I'm seeing, there is a deliberate attempt to erase everything and anything in terms of help that goes along where America or the free world or the freer world is concerned. I know some of you may have objections to that, but that is for another discussion as to who is really free and who not free. But that will suffice for tonight. So before their arresting of these people, and they will want to put it now in their nice apologetic terms and tones, these people were not arrested, they were just brought in for questioning, the investigation that was happening and blah, blah, blah. These people were arrested. They were arrested. They were detained and arrested for 7 hours plus. That is the long and short of the story. After their long Gestapo-like interrogation, they came up with nothing. And the Gestapo force, they had no choice but to put their tails between their legs, release these people, and let these people go. And the concoction now will come around whereby they will use an element or elements of the Ministry of Tourism now, which they know will suffer a blow, and will want to use one of their architects in there to come and offer a very deceptive apology. But damage has already been done. And so no amount of excuse now will cut it. So to me, it's better you guys just stay quiet and just brace yourself for the pushback. Yeah? Just brace yourself. Now, just like how the Mr. Hitler himself and Mr. Vladimir Putin himself gives order or orders to their brutal force to clamp down on people's rights and to Mako, to Mackwell, to VA, to have spies all over the place. Just like how they did it then, is so it has been done now in the country. That's it. And so these Gestapos, they cannot move on their own order. They have to get that order from somewhere. And so you guys know very well where those orders will be coming from. As Bob Marley said, we cap fit, trust me, let them wear it. I said I wouldn't be long tonight, Dominicans, but I must give you an experience of mine so that you guys could understand exactly the point or points that I am driving home at you when I tell you that we have in Dominica a Gestapo-like police force. And so here goes my experience. Some of you haven't heard it as yet. I haven't made that public as yet. But I think timing is everything. And the time has come for me to release and relieve myself of what I have been holding there for some time. Dominicans, in 2020, December of 2020, I got a call from someone from the U.S. Embassy in Barbados. And she said, Mr. Dira, I am calling you on behalf of a program that the United States is running as it pertains to developing young and upcoming budding leaders around the world. And based on our intel, based on persons we spoke to, based on the intelligentsia that they collected, Dominica, when they zeroed in on Dominica, my name came up high on the agenda as one of these upcoming and budding leaders, that they would want to offer me that opportunity in that sort of leadership training aspect of it. I told the young lady, just give me some time, let me think about it, I'll get back to her. I did get back to her, and I told her, okay, no problem, I accept your offer. And so we started negotiations from there. That was in December of 2020. When that happened, certain elements of the regime, the rogue regime, basically went on a tirade. Oh, America recruited me as a spy. Oh, I went to do this. Oh, I went to do that. Oh, this is a whole sort of gibberish which boiled down to rubbish. A matter of fact, these people told me straight up, whenever these courses or these workshops are offered to people around the world, they know some governments will not be in agreement for that. So they will do anything and anything to hinder the process. And so it is up to me. If I want to make that situation public before I leave Dominica, or leave it to them, they will break that news when everybody is sitting around a table and the first day of that leadership training course commence. I chose the latter. And so it was only when I was in America, I saw DNO broke the news through their people that, 42 participants across the globe, Egypt, Russia, Zimbabwe, who else? We had all of people, Zimbabwe. I have a lot of friends, because we really made that network. From Germany, from Zimbabwe. I have a friend from Morocco. Yes, Morocco, and it's a whole Turkey, and it's just a whole lot of people. And so we created that network. We are still connected. I left Dominica the 11th of January 2021. The course commenced on the 13th of January 2021. It ended 31st of January 2021. So by the 1st of February, all of us were supposed to be out of the country, because the visa that was approved for that program, it was just for that program. That's it. If you guys remember very well, it was just around that time the COVID phenomenon was breaking across the world. As a matter of fact, I got to know about COVID when the course was just winding up, about the 29th, 28th, because there was a brother from China, forget his name now, that he was part of that course with us, and he basically was in kind of frantic mode. And he told me he's trying to call his people back home because he's hearing about a disease, and China's in lockdown, and that is where I got to know about Wuhan and whatever it is. But we were just wrapping up. So it was just about that time the COVID era was really kicking in. And so the 1st of February, yours truly departed from the US, Barbados, back to Dominica. When we left that leadership training program, and the leadership training program was, as it said, as it says still, a leadership training program. So all the people like the Brain and whoever was on Kyrie and was making a big hue and cry. Oh, I am a spy now for America, and blah, 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 da, da, da. And You know, oh, they have to watch me now, and all kind of false allegations and accusations were flying around. But that's like water under the bridge. It was just a leadership training program. That's it. When we ended that project, the certificates, let me get the proof for you. The certificates, which is this, right? That's the certificate here, which reads, United States Department of State, Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs. This is to certify that Loftus Dere participated in the International Visitor Leadership Program on Volunteerism and Civic Action, January 13th. You know, I told you the course started January 13th to January 31st, 2020. And it is signed by Anne, what's her name? Anne Grims, Director, Office of International Visitors. That's it. Okay? This, when the course was completed, that was not ready as yet. And so all the participants left America without receiving that in our hand to go. They said they would mail it or they would get it to us via whatever it is. Yeah? There's this brother. His title, his professional title is, he is one of the political, whatever it is, that is designated from the United States, but based in Bridgetown, in the U.S. Embassy in Bridgetown. He's part of the political directorate, right? We met up in the United States. So when he was coming, we exchanged numbers, blah, blah, blah. When he was coming to Bridgetown, he said, Mr. Dura, the certificates are ready. Instead of we posting it to you, do you want me to hold it for you? I said, bro, that is perfectly fine, no problem with that. Because he told me he'll be coming down to Dominica on some mission with the government, and you know, we could have a discussion and to give me the certificate. I told you, brother, no problem. The brother came into Dominica as promised and was leaving, or well, was taking up. He was being accommodated. And I'm going to leave the hotel name out for now, because I don't want any negative connotation to drive in that hotel's way or direction. So I will leave it out for now. The brother was staying at a hotel. And he told me where he was and where can we meet, how can we meet, time and everything, blah, 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 blah. We arranged to meet. I met the brother on the time stipulated. We met in the open area of that hotel, in the public eye in that hotel. The brother brought what I showed you to me. We sat at a table having a discussion. When I reached at that hotel that afternoon about 1 o'clock, I am a person, I am very, very cognizant of my surroundings. And so whenever I go in an area, 30, 45 seconds into me approaching that area, there's a mental picture that is placed, or I picture in my mind, and I can give a description of that place, at least 75% correct. Colors, objects, people, faces, numbers. That goes with me. And so once I stepped at that hotel that day about 1 o'clock, when I looked around, I saw a police officer sitting in a very conspicuous place at that hotel in the dining area, and my eyebrows were raised then at that sight. What I'm going to tell you, I really, truly cannot say for a fact that is what transpired, but as everything would have it, the ducks will always line up. And so 10 minutes, just under 10 minutes into the gentleman and I having a discussion in the public view, this gentleman that I'm speaking to, he got a call. And when he got the call, he excused himself. Said, Mr. Deere, I'm coming, I'm going to take this call. When the gentleman came back to the table, I could see his demeanor changed. This was no longer the gentleman I was having this casual conversation with. His demeanor changed. All the gentleman was prepared to tell me then, Mr. Deere, I have to go. It's a very important of a call I got. I will have to go. I said, okay, no problem. The next time that gentleman spoke to me sometime after the fact of that whole awkward scenario, I pieced it together as to what happened. And so here it was. This police officer, if I give you his initials, you may know him too well. He was sitting in that very conspicuous, very low-key place, yeah, in that hotel, on a little table in a corner. And I said to myself, and continue to say to myself today, that police officer was basically spying. He was like one of the Gestapos that is in the police force, spying on people who they deem to be whatever in their paranoia state of mind tells them these people are. And so here he was sitting in that corner. When I came, I spotted him with a glass of juice, a very thin glass. And that glass of juice, it had to me what I suspected, passion fruit, yellow in nature. This glass was half glass when I came in. That's how observant I was. And that gentleman and I sat there for like 10 minutes. And that half glass of juice, it never dropped down a notch. The gentleman got the call. The gentleman left. I was leaving. And that glass of juice did not drop down a notch. And so it wasn't dying this brother was dining. It was a make-believe. But yours truly saw right through that from that day. And so from that day, people, I know in my mind that the Dominica police force, some of these guys, the Gestapo type, from which I'll be calling them from now on, they are being used to do the dirty work, the very dirty work of a very dirty rogue regime in Dominica. And so tourists, foreigners, listen to me very well. When you guys come in this country called Dominica, you have to be very careful as to what you do, how you do. Because there is a faction of the police force, which I am saying it is the Gestapo section, that will always be watching you, always be monitoring you, and their job basically is to spy on you, your every move, who you meet, who you don't meet, where you go, where you don't go, to bring back tales to the political directorate so that they can decide their next move. And so what happened to these peoples at Afi's place? When I heard that the bus that took them down for questioning made several wrongs prior in the vicinity of Afi's place, people saw them. It jogged back my memory to 2021 as to my experience with the Gestapo type regime in Dominica and what passes a police force. So Dominicans, I am in no doubt that we in Dominica, we are living in very serious times in this country. A matter of fact, the brother that I was speaking with, he told me, and if I lie after him. He told me that call he got there was somebody in the top brass of the government of Dominica and summoned him to a meeting at his office at Mont Daniel at about 1:30. A matter of fact, the call he got, the caller told him that his security officers are already packed on Victoria Street waiting so that he can be driven up to Mont Daniel. Whoever is living at Mont Daniel and has a very high position in government, you guys know better than me. I'm not calling any names. But the brother told me he was summoned to Mont Daniel via a telephone call. And when he reached at Mont Daniel and he spoke to whoever in discussion, the body told him, the political directorate guy speaking, and requested his presence in Mont Daniel. He told the brother, he don't like people like him. And the guy was an American, snooping around, moving around, talking around to people who are known supporters of the opposition. That was what the brother conferred to me as to what was said to him by that body. And so if he wanted to know anything about his government of the country, there are agencies in Dominica, there are government people, there's the press secretary, there's whoever, that these people should come to for information. And so the brother, when he heard that, he pushed back. And he said, so are you telling me that I cannot come to Dominica and have a conversation with anybody of my choosing? Is that what you are saying? Am I supposed to come to Dominica and ask you who to talk to in the public view, in a public place? And sometimes the good Lord above, he always does things in very miraculous ways, wonders to perform. When you're doing things from an honest heart, when you're doing things from a pure motive, the good Lord always direct your footsteps. A matter of fact, he lights up your path. And so, I am just thinking now, there would be much more in the pestle if that brother and myself had gone in any private room to have any meeting or talk. Then right here, this Gestapo guy would have sounded the alarm And you never know. The Gestapos, the rest of them, would have maybe come breaking down the man door. And then they would maybe put some bogus charge on me to I'm conspiring to do this and that and whatever it is. That is the reality of our situations, Dominica. And if you guys don't know the reality, then I'm telling it to you straight up. I'm not putting water in my mouth, my friends. It is what it is. And this has been on my chest for a very long time. But they say timing in life is everything. And so when I heard that happen to Afi, I said, nah, Lofty, you cannot keep it any longer. You have to let the Dominican public know exactly your experience, and so persons can take the necessary precautions. As a result of the harassing of this brother, like the harassing of Afi's guests, who basically just pack up and flown out this morning first flight. This brother, when he communicated to his people, wherever he communicated to them, they said, you know something? For your safety, we cannot keep you at that hotel. And so they did all the arrangements, booked him at another hotel, and the first flight out, he was gone. And I didn't tell you people what somebody told me. I told you what I gone through. And I told you what I gone through. And so it is no making up of a story. It is no second-hand information there. It is first-hand information that is the best information you can get. And so by now, I am accustomed to that treatment that is being meted out in my country with the Gestapos in the police force. That's it. But Dominicans, as we conclude tonight, if we as a people bind our efforts, our skills, our talents, our energies, whatever it is, together, the force that against us cannot prosper, cannot prevail. And this level of disunity that is among Dominicans, divided we fall, and we are already falling. United we stand, people. So just like how the sisters in white did it in the 40s when they stood up to the Gestapos and they resisted, and that left an indelible mark as to their resistance against the Gestapos. We too in Dominica need to stand. We too in Dominica needs to be united as a people. Our country is at stake. And so there's much more that I can tell you tonight, but it is not one of my usuals. So I will rest. I will rest here, knowing fully well that you guys did not prepare for any long drawn out matter tonight. But suffice to say, I just want to stand in solidarity with Afi, his wife, and everybody affected around his situation. Because imagine these people came for 5 days to enjoy themselves. You know the kind of money these people pumped and could have pumped in our economy? And they had to cut that short. They had to shorten their stay because of the harassment. And so the cleaners who were cleaning the room, you guys know yourself, you are without an extra dollar because of your Gestapo type of police force directed by the regime. The people who were preparing the meals, the hotels that these people were eating at, because they did not set off a place just to eat off. No, they moved around. They spread the bread. And so you know the caterings that you guys had to do, and you guys had to cut it short because of the actions of the Gestapos. Exotica as a business, a bona fide business in Dominica, had to cut short. And so all the preparations, all the whatever that went into trying to make these people comfortable when they spend their monies, all that had to cut short because of the treatment, the ill treatment, the harassment of these people by the Gestapos. And so Dominicans, just like the Gestapos, went on their trial in that famous Nuremberg trial. We need to put the Gestapos in Dominica as well on trial as well. But it will only do that. It can only do that when we bind our energies and efforts together and decide enough is enough. Until that time, the Gestapos will continue to run and reign terror in this country, and it will only stop when the people of Dominica said enough is enough. And yes, one of my mentors said, by any means necessary. Dominicans, thank you very much. Thank you. Please have yourself a very good night. And I pray the good Lord give you sweet sleep. Even in a restless country. And you get up tomorrow morning feeling much rejuvenated and ready to take on the task of living in a country where anytime you can be harassed, intimidated, or even be made to disappear by the Gestapos of Dominica. Thank you, my people. But as they say, good will always prevail over evil. And so we have many, many more good people in Dominica than the ones who are riding out the evil on Dominica. I say no more. Thank you very much. Thank you.